Every puff introduces thousands of trapped chemicals.
How smoking destroys your lungs. The damage you can't see. Every time a smoker takes a puff from a cigarette, thousands of toxic chemicals rush into the lungs. Most people know smoking is bad, but few understand exactly what happens inside the body with every cigarette. The damage doesn't happen overnight. It occurs slowly, silently, and continuously. By the time symptoms appear, significant harm may already have been done. Today, we're going to explore how smoking destroys the lungs, step by step. We'll examine the toxic chemicals involved, how they damage lung tissue, why breathing becomes difficult, and how smoking can eventually lead to deadly diseases like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, and lung cancer. Your lungs are among the hardest working organs in your body. Every day, an average adult breathes about 20,000 times. The lungs bring oxygen into the bloodstream and remove carbon dioxide, a waste product produced by the body's cells. Inside the lungs are millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli. These microscopic sacs are where oxygen enters the blood and carbon dioxide leaves it. Healthy lungs are flexible, clean, and highly efficient. Unfortunately, smoking slowly destroys this incredible system. Many people think cigarette smoke contains only nicotine. In reality, cigarette smoke contains over 7,000 chemicals. Hundreds are toxic. At least 70 are known to cause cancer. Some of the most dangerous include nicotine, tar, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, benzene, arsenic, cadmium, hydrogen cyanide, and ammonia. When inhaled, these chemicals directly contact lung tissue. The lungs become the first organ to suffer the damage. The destruction begins immediately. As cigarette smoke enters the lungs, it irritates the delicate lining of the airways. The body's response is inflammation, a protective response to injury. However, smoking exposes the lungs to harmful chemicals repeatedly. As a result, inflammation becomes chronic. The airways become swollen and irritated. This makes breathing more difficult and increases mucus production. Many smokers experience persistent coughing because the body is trying to remove these irritants. This is often called smoker's cough. Smoking damages the cilia. The lungs have a natural cleaning system. Tiny hair-like structures called cilia line the airways. These cilia constantly move mucus, dust, bacteria, and other particles out of the lungs. Think of them as tiny brooms, sweeping harmful substances away. Cigarette smoke paralyzes and eventually destroys these cilia. Without functioning cilia, mucus builds up, bacteria remain trapped, pollutants stay in the lungs, infections become more common. This is one reason smokers are more likely to develop bronchitis and pneumonia. The lungs lose their ability to clean themselves. Excess mucus production. As smoking continues, the airways become irritated. To protect themselves, glands inside the lungs produce more mucus. Unfortunately, because the cilia are damaged, this mucus cannot be cleared efficiently. The result is persistent coughing, chest congestion, wheezing, difficulty breathing. The airways become clogged with thick mucus. This further restricts airflow and creates an environment where bacteria can thrive. Destruction of the alveoli. This is where some of the most serious damage occurs. Remember the tiny air sacs called alveoli. These structures allow oxygen to enter the blood. Healthy lungs contain hundreds of millions of alveoli. Smoking triggers inflammation and releases destructive enzymes. These enzymes begin breaking down the walls between alveoli. Over time, many small air sacs merge into larger damaged spaces. This dramatically reduces the surface area available for oxygen exchange. As fewer alveoli remain functional, less oxygen reaches the bloodstream. More energy is required to breathe. Physical activity becomes harder. This condition is known as emphysema. Once alveoli are destroyed, they cannot regenerate. The damage is permanent. Carbon monoxide steals oxygen. Cigarette smoke contains carbon monoxide. This poisonous gas enters the bloodstream through the lungs. Red blood cells normally carry oxygen throughout the body. Carbon monoxide binds to these cells much more strongly than oxygen. As a result, less oxygen reaches tissues. The heart works harder. Muscles fatigue faster. Organs receive less oxygen. Smokers may feel tired more easily because their blood carries less oxygen. The body is literally being starved of the oxygen it needs. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Years of smoking can lead to COPD. COPD is a group of progressive lung diseases that make breathing increasingly difficult. The two main forms are 1. Chronic bronchitis. 2. Emphysema. Symptoms include shortness of breath, chronic coughing, wheezing, chest tightness, frequent respiratory infections. COPD cannot be cured. Treatment can slow progression, but the damage is often permanent. Smoking is the leading cause of COPD worldwide. Millions of people struggle with this disease every day because of long-term smoking. Smoking weakens the immune system. Healthy lungs contain immune cells that defend against germs. Smoking weakens these defenses. The toxic chemicals interfere with the ability of immune cells to function properly. Viruses spread more easily. Bacterial infections increase. Recovery takes longer. Lung inflammation worsens. Smokers often experience more respiratory illnesses than non-smokers. Even common infections can become serious. DNA damage and cancer formation. Perhaps the most dangerous effect of smoking is cancer. Many chemicals in cigarette smoke are carcinogens. Carcinogens damage DNA inside cells. Normally, cells repair DNA damage, but repeated exposure overwhelms these repair systems. Mutations begin to accumulate. Eventually, some cells lose control over their growth. Instead of dying when they should, they continue multiplying. This uncontrolled growth forms tumors. Over time, lung cancer can develop. Lung cancer remains one of the deadliest forms of cancer worldwide. The majority of cases are linked to smoking. Warning signs of smoking-related lung damage. Many smokers ignore early symptoms. Common warning signs include persistent cough, wheezing, shortness of breath, frequent chest infections, coughing up blood, chest pain, reduced exercise tolerance. These symptoms should never be ignored. Early medical evaluation can help detect lung problems before they become severe. What happens after you quit smoking? The good news is that healing begins surprisingly quickly. Within 20 minutes, heart rate starts returning to normal. Within 24 hours, carbon monoxide levels begin to fall. Within weeks, circulation improves. Within months, cilia begin recovering and lung function improves. Within years, the risk of lung disease and cancer drops significantly. Although severe damage may not be fully reversible, quitting smoking greatly improves long-term health. Every smoke-free day gives the lungs an opportunity to recover. Smoking is far more than a bad habit. Every cigarette introduces thousands of toxic chemicals into the lungs. These chemicals inflame the airways, destroy cilia, increase mucus production, damage alveoli, reduce oxygen delivery, weaken immunity, and increase the risk of deadly diseases like COPD and lung cancer. The damage happens slowly, often without obvious symptoms in the early stages. But with every cigarette, the lungs become less able to perform their vital function. The good news is that it's never too late to quit. Your lungs begin repairing themselves almost immediately after your last cigarette. Protect your lungs, protect your health, and protect your future. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Stay healthy, and see you in the next video.